Hello friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time. And I'm here today to talk about the benefits of black walnut hulls mostly. When it comes to black walnut, the bark and the leaves throughout history were also used for medicinal purposes. But again, today I'm focusing on the hulls, and what you'll see here is a jar of ground black walnut hulls. And this I actually do purchase online because we don't have a black walnut tree. And I will provide a link to some down below if you would like to purchase some yourself. So the main active compound in your black walnut hulls is juglone. I'm going to put it here because I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. I do this every time. I forget to double check on a word to make sure I'm getting the pronunciation right, and I've never heard it pronounced. So I'm sure I'm saying it wrong, but anyway, you can see the spelling here and you can look it up for yourself. But it is a quinone, which is similar to the alkaloid quinine, but they do have varying different benefits. But one thing I thought was interesting, besides all the other great vitamins and minerals that you can get from your black walnut hulls, is that it also is a good source of iodine. So those who are needing to add more iodine to their diet, this might be an easier way to do that rather than taking the iodine drops. Basic actions include being antiviral, antibacterial, antifungal, antiparasitic, which is also known as a vermifuge, antimicrobial, and antioxidant, which means it is anti-cancer. That's antioxidant, anti-cancer, those two go together. So now let me list off the things that it's good at helping with, the different types of ailments. So that would be helping balance blood pressure, cholesterol levels. It's very helpful for internal parasites, including tapeworm, pinworms, hookworms, and more. It's helpful with digestion, sore throat, just general skin health. So I would say that could be something used both externally and internally. Ringworm, which is a fungal infection, as well as athlete's foot. Acne, warts, eczema, psoriasis, candida overgrowth. There's another fungal infection there, or fungal overgrowth, because candida is a normal part of our body, but we can get an overgrowth and it can just become out of control, and that can cause a lot of your issues there. It's good for your heart health or cardiovascular health, and it has been known to help with scurvy, ulcers, and snake bites as well. And I'm sure there's a lot more. It was one of those things that I'm like, I'm sure this list is much longer than this, but I was having a harder time finding sites that had more than just a few things listed on it. So, you know, a lot of this is just a jumping off point. You can always do more research and find out more. And one thing I wanted to throw in there is, you know, the nuts are healthy too. You can eat the walnuts. They're going to have just like any nuts like that, you're going to have the healthy fats, and that can also help with weight loss and more. Now let's talk about the ways that you can use black walnut hulls in the form of a medicine, and that would be to tincture it, and that can be tincturing the black walnut hulls themselves, or even just taking the whole black walnut, which is actually green when it's fresh off the tree, and then sticking it in a jar and then putting your solvent in there. In most cases, people are going to use a solvent such as vodka, but there are all types of different solvents you could use. I would think when you're using the whole walnut like that, a spirit would be best, whether it be rum or vodka or whatever. You could also make an oxymel if you prefer that, and being alcohol free. And in that case, I would say use the ground ones, and you don't even have to strain it out. Just put that in there with your, 50% vinegar and 50% raw honey. And I've made an oxymel before with mullein using the raw honey and the vinegar. And it actually has a much better flavor than just using plain homemade vinegar by itself. And I only use homemade vinegar whenever I'm doing this. And I make my vinegars out of all kinds of different things. You can, in fact, I'll link to my most recent vinegar making video where I not only show you how to make the vinegar, but go over some of the many things that you can use to make vinegar. And it could be very, very cheap, cost you almost nothing to make vinegar, and it's super easy. But you can also make teas out of it. In fact, I do actually like adding the black walnuts to my tea, the hulls, the powder just as is to my tea. It adds a nice flavor. And the powdered form is also good for making capsules out of, or you can just purchase black walnut hull capsules. So it's all ready to go. And as far as topically, a powder is good for using for wound care, and you just make a paste out of it, either adding water or even some kind of oil. Commonly would be whatever kind of oil you'd like to use. It could be a melted coconut oil, an avocado oil, olive oil, and just mix them together until you have a nice paste and apply it directly to the affected area. That would include using for things like ringworm. So let's get past the medicinal uses. Some people use it as a seasoning or even use it as a coffee replacement, just like this. Now, that didn't surprise me when I read that, because one thing I found is I do like to add this to my coffee in the morning. When I decided I want to start taking this internally to help flush out any possible parasites I might have. And I actually love it. It adds a nice flavor to the coffee. It blends really well with the coffee. So I could see, and then in my tea as well, I could see it just by itself making a good coffee replacement for those who cannot have coffee or just trying to get away from the caffeine. And here's another bonus, is if you're one that likes to spin your own yarn using wool or alpaca, some people will use black walnut hulls to make a dye out of it. And I'll put a couple pictures here so you can see. In fact, I'll put a link to a site where she talks not just about the benefits of black walnuts, but explains how she uses it to dye her different yarns that she makes. Now, just like anything, anything you're going to start using in a medicinal form, no matter how safe it is, you always got to take some precautions, because even something that's really, really safe, if you're allergic to it, it's not going to be the best option for you. And you can overdo it on anything. So just practicing a little bit of moderation, always start small, work with a little bit at a time, and then you can increase from there and see how it makes you feel. If you start having any negative side effects, don't fall back on the whole Herxheimer thing, or it's just your body's just detoxifying. Don't do that. It's not a safe option to assume that. You'd be better off to just back off, take a break from it for a week, and then reintroduce it again, and then slowly build back up, and then find the right amount that's best for you. Now, I did read somewhere that you should take a break from using walnut hulls medicinally, like use it for 2 weeks and then take a break for 2 weeks. I do think with a lot of that, it's all going to depend on the person. It's just like diatomaceous earth. Sometimes I can take it every day without problem for a month or 2 months without issue. And other times when I do that, after about a month or a couple of weeks, I start having a little bit of issues, so I back off. I think there's just a lot of different variables. So you always got to listen to your body when it comes to that. And then, of course, if you're on any kind of medication, always do your own research to make sure whatever it is you're wanting to add, whatever natural herb or whatever it is for medicinal purposes, always look into it, whether or not that's going to work with you and the medication that you're on. And if you're pregnant or nursing, I would venture to guess that walnut hulls are pretty safe, but always do the research yourself. Unfortunately, when it comes to the whole pregnant nursing thing, in most cases, there's just not enough research done. So a lot of times they'll just say, I'll just avoid it because we haven't done enough research. Well, they might not say that. They'll just say, just avoid it if you're pregnant or nursing, because they don't know. They don't know. But it's funny because there's a lot of foods that we still eat and, we don't even think about it, and that maybe you shouldn't eat. Who knows? And then one more thing I did want to add, that when the way I actually first started using walnut hulls was for my chickens. And I made my own anti-parasitic and just overall, just giving them a health boost, flushing their systems out. And I did do a video on this, but I started off with just using granulated garlic, black walnut hulls, and homemade vinegar, and nothing else. Just mix together, shake it really well, and then feed it to them in a dropper. I give them about a dropper full. If I ever feel they need it. In fact, the other day I just decided, why not go through the whole flock and just give everybody a dropper full of this, just to make sure everything's good in there, because I find that's really healthy. The last batch I made, I actually did powder up some really beneficial herbs that I know are just great for chickens all the way around, and added them to that same mixture. So I'll link to that video down below if you would like to learn about that. But again, just for my own personal use, I'm really happy just adding it to my coffee in the morning. I notice that it just seems like it's kind of been, I've just been feeling better, generally speaking, anyway. Not that I was feeling terrible, but you know what I mean. You can feel pretty good, and then you just add something, and you're like, you know what? I think my body just really needed that little extra thing that I'm adding right now. And then if I get to a point where I just am not feeling so great, then I'll quit using it. So I do that with a lot of things. Sometimes I just forget certain things, but when it's something I know I really like in my coffee in the morning, I usually don't forget it because it tastes good. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed my video. And if you're interested in more videos like this, I have like 90 something videos, I think now. I know I have at least 90 videos in a playlist that I've been working on for 7 or 8 years. Some of them I've redone over the years just to add, more recently, just to add more information and do a better quality video than my earlier ones. And so I'll link to that full playlist down below. It's called Herbs and More, Benefits and Uses. And it's not just about herbs, it's about all kinds of different things. I even cover the benefits of chocolate, coconut oil, and so much more. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you will check out the series if you've never seen it and find some more interesting videos in there. And if you have ever used black walnut hulls medicinally for your pets, yourself, your chickens, please share with us down below what's your favorite way to use it and what have been the benefits of using it or adding it to your diet. And thanks for watching. Take care and God bless.